What's up, everybody? We are back with another review, and one I certainly did not expect to be making, and that is for the new game PRAGMATA. I think it's PRAGMATA. That's what they say in the game, but it feels like PRAGMATA. Anyways, this was not a review I expected to make for a multitude of reasons. One, I played the demo and I liked it, but I didn't love it, and so I didn't know that if I wanted to play the game at full price. And then reviews came out, and I had another game that I was going to play that is just apparently a buggy mess, which I won't name here. So I'm waiting for that game to get completely fixed, and I'll buy it on a heavy discount at one point. So that essentially, I used gamer math. That became the sale for PRAGMATA. And so after watching a bunch of reviews and seeing all the great reviews it got, I decided to go ahead and play it. The other reason why it's kind of surprising to make it is because this game got delayed and delayed. I think it was originally announced in like 2020, but... So people were unsure when or if it was ever going to come out, and then not that long ago they announced it is coming out. It came out. So before we get into our review, if you want to watch the playthrough, you want to check out some gameplay because you haven't played it yourself, I've linked my whole playthrough down below. That's over on my single player channel, which is also linked in the description down below. And also linked down there is my Twitter, my Instagram, and my TikTok. And if you're into cars, I have my Twitter, Instagram, and car YouTube down there. So if you want to support me here, there, or anywhere, it is of course appreciated. As usual, we're going to go through our pros, our so-sos, our cons, and then I'll wrap everything with some final thoughts and give a score. Before we get into that, if you don't know the premises of PRAGMATA, whatever it is, you are Hugh, a guy who is on a team sent to a base on the moon to figure out what's wrong after the base loses communication with Earth and go solve the problem. And while you're there, and this isn't really a spoiler, something happens and the other three members of your crew die. You barely survive, and you're helped out by this little girl android named I'm going to mess with the numbers, like 03367 or something like that. It's too long of a name. You give her the name Diana, and she becomes your partner for the rest of the journey. While you figure out what's going on and solve the problem and try to work your way to communicating and then ultimately back to Earth. That's the goal of the game, is to work through the base, figure out what's going on, and find a way back to Earth. So, moving on to the cons first, as we always do. I only had one real con here, and that is the voice lines. If they get cut off by you interacting with something, or... if Diana and Hugh are having a conversation and you get somewhere too soon in their conversation, whether it's through that or interacting with an object or whatever, when voice lines cut off, that's the end of that conversation, and so you lose some of the story context through that. It's not the end of the world, because what I think shines the most in this game is gameplay, but it's not the end of the world, but it is unfortunate when you're like into the conversation they're having and then it just gets cut off, which is unfortunate. This is my only real con. Moving on to the so-so is Diana herself. Now, the use of Diana in the game, gameplay-wise, is great. It's actually very enjoyable, which we'll talk about more in our pros. So that's why she's not in the con. What I don't like about Diana is she very much gives Uncanny Valley. She has a lot of very cute little girl moments because she's a android or a robot who's learning to be a little girl, essentially. And she has some very cute little girl moments. But she also very much has an Uncanny Valley factor to her, as to me. That is not the conversation mostly online. There's a couple different conversations online that we won't get into in this video because I don't really want to talk about those. They're not great conversations. If you know, you know. If not, you can go find out what people are talking about with Diana. Not great conversations, but it is what it is. I just didn't like the Diana Uncanny Valley. It almost seems fucked up, but it's better when you can change her outfit, and I put one that had a mask over her face. She had less of an Uncanny Valley look to her, but she very much has an Uncanny Valley vibe. Gameplay's good. She has a lot of cute moments, so I just put her in the so-sos. So moving on to pros, first of all, I have graphics. The graphics are gorgeous, and I love that it's the RE engine, Capcom's engine in-house, and not another Unreal Engine game, which, don't get me wrong, I'm all for Unreal Engine. It's very accessible. It gives great capability to smaller studios and indie people and just literally individuals, and gives you a much better opportunity of better graphics. But the RE engine has great graphics. I didn't play Resident Evil Requiem because I haven't played any Resident Evil games, so I didn't want to start there. Maybe I'll get into them eventually. But they're able to create a beautiful environment, very detailed. Sometimes up close, a little bit of the details and like cutscenes look a little bit dated, but overall the game is very beautiful. It looks very good. Great environments, great designed enemies, great scenery off in the distance, especially when you're looking into space and the Earth is back there. I thought it was a very beautiful game. The next pro that I have is the game is unique. Now, sci-fi is not unique. Space is not unique. Something going wrong on a moon base isn't even very unique. First of all, it's a brand new IP, which is nice to see in 2026, which, already feels unique, getting a brand new IP and not a remake or sequel. But just using the combat with the hacking system was a unique concept on its own. And one of the things that I was unsure of between trailers and playing the demo was how the hacking would be across a whole game. I think that it was actually a lot better than I thought it went. I thought it would get tedious. I thought it would feel intrusive. I thought it'd be like, oh god, now to get through this, I got to do the hacking minigame. But it really adds to the intensity in really intense moments. And because the hacking grid is not the same from hack to hack, it doesn't feel repetitive and tedious. It feels pretty fresh, especially because you're doing it in different situations constantly because you're just in different battles, dealing with different enemies. And so that leads us into the combat. I thought the combat was good. I do think it was a little frustrating that Hugh's main gun auto reloads and generates ammo essentially, but it is so slow. And as you can upgrade the guns, and so it gets better as you upgrade it some, but it's still not great. And you start off with the pistol called the grip gun, and then I forget what the assault rifle essentially is called. But they just reload. But other than that, the combat's great. There's a multitude of different weapon types. There's defensive, there's offensive. There's 3 different categories besides your main weapon. There's red, which is much more offensive. There's green that gives you stuff essentially like concussion grades and these electrified nets essentially and stuff like that. And then there's one that gives you a bubble, which is something wall or shield or whatever, or decoy. Those are the 3 categories. And so having the different weapons, plus the weapons I thought felt pretty good in this game, and combined with the uniqueness and the unbelievably interesting and fun hacking that also helps add to the uniqueness, the combat was really good. And speaking of the combat being good, the boss fights. Every single boss fight I thought was thoroughly enjoyable with a good challenge. I played on the regular difficulty. You only have essentially what's easy and regular. I forget the terms they use from until you beat the game, and then you unlock what's called insanity. And I think insanity would truly be insanity. But the boss fights were good. I think I only died during 2 or 3 of them, and I think there's 6 or 7. I didn't count them total. But I thought they were really good. Each one felt very unique, had its own challenges. The bosses, had good move skill sets and felt distinct from one another. And the hacking became really important in those boss fights. And I just thought the boss fights overall were good. The last pro I have, I'm going to kind of wrap this all into one pro and just call it the shelter. I was going to highlight different parts of the shelter. The first one is the outfit customization for both Hugh and Diana. It's a small pro, but I just like that. I like anything that can give you your own unique experience that might make you enjoy the game more. And you can unlock unlock those outfits through this robot companion that is in your shelter called Cabin, and you can get Cabin stamps through different challenges throughout the game or looting them, and we'll talk about the challenges in a second. And then you can put them on a bingo board, and as you get bingo, you unlock things that are under the bingo squares, as well as you get bingo in each of the different boards. The more bingos you get, the more rewards you get. You can get more outfits that way for them, and then when you beat the game, you actually get outfits. So I don't think that's a spoiler, but if it's a spoiler, I'm sorry. Also, in the shelter, as I mentioned, there's training challenges. There's training, which I did not actually go do. If you watch me play games, I like to get through stories. If I ever go through and play this game again, I'll do more of the training challenges. So I can't speak to them personally, but all the reviews highlighted how great they were, and they were fun and unique, and you get rewards for those as well. You get outfits, cabin coins, etc. Also in the shelter is you can get these things called Real Earth Memories, REMs, and give them to Diana, and they create holographs of sandboxes, campfires, tents, swings, balloons, you name it. and it shows Diana more of the Earth, and it's just a little more interaction with her. That's fun. There's another thing that I don't think is useful, but like there's an info computer. We can get info on enemies and enemy types, essentially. And then finally, there is the upgrades where you can upgrade yourself, Diana, your primary weapon slot. And then there's other upgrades where you can upgrade attachments, Diana's hacking abilities, which include nodes, where nodes, when you hack through the board and then you go through a node, you have different effects on the enemy you're hacking, so you can upgrade that stuff. And it's a good central hub. You can go back there. There's escape hatches throughout each section of the game that you can go back there, heal up, upgrade some stuff, go back. Very useful after boss fights or hard sections where, you could die. And so that overall, I think, was a really good addition to the game. As I mentioned, two things that I normally try to put on my pros, so-sos, and cons that I didn't know where to place them, so I didn't. So the first one is performance, something that I always like to mention about. I had no crashes. I had no issues. Some people were having issues right when the game dropped. I did not have those issues. I didn't want to put performance on anywhere because I didn't know where to put performance, because I have a 9000X3D, 5070, and I did not have more than 60 FPS despite setting it to 120, according to the Steam counter. I did not have less. It never changed, which was odd, but it never changed. But I had no crashes, and I had it on high settings, I think, while recording and streaming. So from my end, the performance was good. I don't know if somehow 60 was my max and my min frames with hardware recording and streaming, or if the Steam counter just wasn't getting it accurately. I have no idea, so I didn't know how to rate that, but I had no crashes. But some people were reporting some performance issues, so I didn't know where to put that. The other one I had was story. The story was not bad. It was not amazing. There were some plot twists that weren't surprising and some that were predictable. So the story was just fine. It wasn't so-so. It wasn't bad. It wasn't good. It just was fine. It was just kind of a typical story of this type of game. It just was. I didn't know where to put it because it just was what it was. Because so-sos are things that I find both good and bad. And I didn't find anything bad or particularly good. The story was just the story. So I didn't know where to put performance and story. I definitely think if you're looking for a super big story with a lot of twists, a lot of unexpected, really grab you, I don't think this is necessarily that. But the story was by no means bad. It just wasn't excellent. So I didn't really know where to put it. So performance, story, didn't know where to put. Back to the regular video. So that is all my pros, my so-sos, and my cons. I am very shocked at how much I enjoyed this game. Like I said, I played the demo and I was like, I'm going to wait for that to go on a good sale before I get it, in a year or whatever. And I am so glad that I decided to play it instead of another game. Not because I don't want to play the other game, but because this ended up being a lot better game than I expected. A lot of people are putting it in Game of the Year territory. I don't know if I would put it in that territory. Death Stranding 2 is not available for that reward, because it came out on PS5 originally. That's my favorite game that's coming on PC this year, probably. I enjoyed Cairn more. I don't know. I have my played library up here, but it's alphabetical. Let's see, by release date. I think it's probably a better Game of the Year candidate than Mouse PI and Samson and High on Life 2 and Reanimal, which are new games that I played this year. I don't know. We'll see what other games come out this year, but I could see it being nominated in the category, especially because the reviews are so glowing. I don't quite put it there. I think I put it in the next tier below the Game of the Year tier. But like I said, it will depend on what games come out, whether or not that is going to be a Game of the Year nominee. I could see it. I don't think it'll win because I think there'll be some excellent other games that come out. But I do think it's a really excellent game. It is only depending on your playstyle. I finished about 11 and a half hours. If I just went straight through the game and didn't explore looking for stuff, I could probably do about 10. It was about 11-ish for me. A lot of people are quoting around 12 hours, and if you're trying to 100%, it's about 20 hours. But it also has the replayability of the New Game Plus. There's another extra mode that you can get where it's essentially you just can go back through your saved slot and try to look for more stuff. And so there's a lot of playability, but it is a full $60 game, and it is about a 10 to 12 hour runtime for just a regular playthrough without trying to 100%. So you have to decide if it's worth it there. I actually think it was worth it. I enjoyed it enough that it was worth it. So that's up to you. But overall, it is a very good game. I gave Cairn and I think I gave Cairn a 9 out of 10, and I think I gave Death Stranding 9.5 out of 10. And so I'm gonna go 8.5. We're gonna go 8.5 for Pragmata. I think it's a really good game. I think it's worth the money, and I think if it's interesting to you at all, and you're okay with a 10 to 12 hour runtime for $60, you should go play it immediately. But that's my thoughts on Pragmata. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you like this type of content and want to see it first. And comment down below what you think of Pragmata. Have you played it? Are you going to play it? Are you waiting for a sale? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I will see you in the next video. Have a good day. Bye. This is not good. Oh shit. I mean, it's still open. I don't have a good reason to be trying to hack it more.